When they shall die, take them out and cut them out in little stars, and they will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Hello, everyone. Artistry and Finesse joining you on a Thursday night, and on this solemn occasion, we eulogize the 2013 Pittsburgh Steelers. Finesse, do you recognize that passage?
I don't know. It sounds Shakespearean to me. I don't know what it's from, but I think it was beautiful. I think it was touching, and you should share with the people where it's from.
Very good. It is, in fact, Shakespearean. Scene 2 of Romeo and Juliet, adapted for your Steelers of 2013. And we think it's appropriate at this time because, Finesse, the Steelers truly are dead.
I know. We come here, it's a very holy time of the year between the Jewish New Year and the Day of Repentance, which is this weekend. And the Steelers season has died young, far too young. It was taken from us. I don't see any way to resuscitate it. I think it's over. And at this point, maybe the best thing for all of us to do is spend a little bit of time talking about our favorite memories and then let go and begin to move on.
I think that's appropriate. I mean, the season was in serious, if not critical, condition before it even started. Now it's dead. I think that, with Larry out with a bicep, Marquise with a knee, I think Larod has a knee, and the remaining Steelers are so thin, so brittle, that it really makes sense not to hang on. We're not, calling for life support of any sort at this point. You're right. It's just time to release them into the great unknown.
I don't want to spend tonight mourning the death. I want to celebrate the life.
Do you want to talk about your favorite memories?
Yeah, what was your favorite memory from the season?
Well, I only saw part of the first half of the first game, but I think that opening kickoff safety where the guy from Tennessee stepped out of the end zone and stepped back in was really special. So that would be my memory. What about you?
My favorite memory was when David DeCastro dove at Marquise Pouncey's knee. Because, that's so David. That's just how I'll always remember him, diving at his teammate's knee for no reason when there's nobody else around. And
the poor guy, he was so distraught, wasn't he? You saw him put his hands to his face. He just knew.
Have you ever seen just a more ridiculous play leading to an injury? It was not even. What was he looking at? I'm not a lineman.
There was no defender there. There was no one to block.
He just is the Steelers line, and I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but were they so bad that they didn't even know who to block, what team to block?
Maybe he's colorblind. I don't know, but if you want to point to one thing that's representative of the Steelers sort of falling off a cliff this year. And you can see this coming, but this year I think it's really going to be a disaster as best I can tell. It's that you've got such pedigree on the offensive line. We've talked about this. You've got DeCastro, a number 1 pick, Pouncey, a number 1 pick, Mike Adams, a second-round pick. Was Marcus Gilbert a first or second? He might have been a first-round pick.
They're all high picks from huge colleges.
They're all high picks, and they're a disaster. And the defensive line, same thing. Ziggy Hood, a number 1 pick. Cameron Hayward, a number 1 pick. Those guys stink. They're just not good. And that, in a nutshell, is why the Steelers are facing a precipitous decline.
We haven't drafted a player really who's performed above mediocre in years.
Yeah, so
I guess Pouncey had a good rookie year, but he's done nothing the last 2-3 years except get high ankle sprains, and now he's out with a knee. And I know the knee injury is not his fault, but you don't get any slack when you've spent the last 2 years out with a high ankle. It's like at some point you got to try to stay healthy.
Yeah. So my question is, is the axe going to fall on Kevin Colbert after the season? Because I'll tell you one thing, there's no way they're firing Mike Tomlin. I just don't see it. They might fire Haley, and Colbert has to be, I think, accountable for the state of this team right now.
Right, but what I worry about is that these injuries are going to sort of be looked at as an excuse. And they're already seeing a little bit of, well, this team's so banged up, they're so banged up. First of all, you never were able to rely on Pouncey being healthy anyway. So in the NFL, staying healthy is a skill. It's like a distinct talent. If you don't stay healthy, you're worthless. It's cutthroat,
Right.
but you're worthless if you can't stay healthy. And then Larry Foote's been the worst player on the Steelers' defense in both Super Bowls. And I don't know, what is he, 45 years old at this point? Like, he's not even good. And LaRod Stevens howlings. I mean, what's he out with? Does he have a knee or a bicep? He's got a knee.
I think he has a bicep.
No, Foote has a bicep.
Oh, Foot has the bicep.
Yeah,
So
LSH has a knee.
he has a knee.
What we did fine without LSH before. I don't think his knee injury is going to be a big deal. So this team was in dire straits before those guys got hurt. It certainly doesn't help.
I think you're underestimating the loss of LSH.
What do you think LSH was going to do for the team this year?
I think LSH is the best running back we have, short of Le'Veon Bell, who I've never seen play. This is all on reputation. But LSH at least has, a couple 100-yard games to his credit. He has some history as a successful running back, albeit in Arizona. And your alternative is Jonathan Dwyer, who was just picked up off the street, Ike Redmond, who ran for 9 yards on 8 carries and fumbled twice in the opener, and Felix Jones, who somehow finds himself on the depth chart behind those two guys. So I think by default, LSH is our best running back right now.
To be fair, though, to Dwyer, you say he was picked up off the street. That street was the street right outside of Heinz Field. I don't think he ever left after he got cut. It was pretty obvious he was going to be back at some point, I think. I have him in 2 fantasy leagues. I didn't drop him because I figured we'd end up having to bring him back.
Wow, that's not a great commentary on your fantasy teams. But the thing about Dwyer is he's got this reputation for having a bad attitude, and he really does. You know what his quote was today?
No.
After he was picked back up in the Steelers? He said, I just need to play. All this practice stuff telling me to, change my attitude. I'm just someone who needs to play. It's not like you're Adrian Peterson where, you don't need to practice and you just need to, get warmed up. It's like you might want to take a few steps in advance of playing.
I think we should treat Jonathan Dwyer like the Yankees did Roger Clemens at the end of his career and, not bring him on road games when he's not pitching. Let him stay in a separate hotel, and he doesn't have to join the team until June. So let bring in Dwyer, the 9th game of the season, no practice, his own hotel. He doesn't have to go to road games, and let him just pay him $8 million to fall forward for 2 yards rather than Ike Redmond, who falls backwards 2 yards.
He's a Hall of Famer, Jonathan Dwyer. So I noticed with you seem to have gone past the point of dismissing the Steelers, and you're coming back around to thinking they're at least going to cover the spread on Monday night. And I want to know, where is that coming from? Because
well, listen,
I just don't see it.
Let me tell you something. First of all, if anyone out there doubts my credentials, listen to our podcast last week. I had us losing to Tennessee. I had that. You had the Steelers winning. I had the Steelers losing. So I'm 1 for 1. You're 0 for 1. So let's just start with that context. I don't as much as we're saying the Steelers stink, I think it's more. I think 7 points is a lot for a team like Cincinnati to be giving the Steelers when Cincinnati has never done anything when they've had expectations. And I'm not. It's more about Cincinnati. I'm not buying that Cincinnati is just going to manhandle the Steelers. I think that the Bengals are going to win. But I don't think that the Steelers are going to roll over. I think once you get to the end of the season and play Cincinnati in Week 15, and the Steelers are 4-10 or 4-9, then I don't think the Steelers are covering the 7-point spread. But Week 2, I don't think the Steelers think the season's over yet. So I don't think they're going to roll over. And like I was saying on Twitter today, beware of the garbage time touchdown, because once Roethlisberger gets to a point where the Steelers have already basically lost the game and he can then ignore Todd Haley without consequence, the Steelers did pretty well in that drive against Tennessee. So those points count too. And I just don't, Steelers down 14, get the ball with 2 minutes left. I like the Steelers to at least push.
Look, I don't purport to have any idea what's going to happen, but just the thought of Cincinnati's defensive line, which is very good, unleashed against our pathetic tackles in a hostile home opener for Cincinnati, it just doesn't strike me as a good circumstance for the Steelers. I think they could really get killed.
Roethlisberger, 60%.
You doing some laundry over there?
Yeah, always during the podcast. Roethlisberger, 60% winning percentage on the road, 9-3 on Monday nights. What do you say about those facts?
They were not this game. That's what I would say about that.
But you picked Cincinnati for the Super Bowl, so can you admit that you're biased?
No, I'm not going to admit that I'm biased.
You really think that the Steelers are just done so completely to the point of being non-competitive?
Listen, I haven't gone on national television with my predictions. I haven't bet on my predictions. I don't have much of a stake in my predictions. There are going to be like 4 people that remember my prediction.
Oh, no. So, I remember them. I actually have the sheet written down right here with the predictions. And you have the Steelers losing by 14 this week.
Okay, I'm going to stand by that. What do you have happening? Let's see who's right.
I have the Steelers winning this week and next week.
Okay.
Against Chicago. We talked about this last week.
It's so depressing. Can we change the subject? Do we have to keep talking about this team?
No, I want to do something. I want to take it back and I want to segue based off something you said earlier.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know if you could do this. I'm going back like 8 minutes and using that as a segue.
You're allowed.
You mentioned the name Le'Veon Bell earlier, and you talked about how everything that we know about him is based on like a couple tweets from some guys that work for the Trib who saw him at Latrobe at training camp.
I know he has a Lisfranc injury.
We don't know anything about Le'Veon Bell, whether he's good. And everybody who's drafting him in their fantasy league, it's all based on like a couple tweets, and then it gets in the Yahoo thing and the ESPN thing, and then it blows up, and now like people are spending $15 on Le'Veon Bell in their auction draft.
Right.
Today, and this is a segue I'm talking about. Today, the Penguins came back to practice, and the big theme coming through from beat reporters and people observing the intra-squad scrimmage was how awful Marc-Andre Fleury looked. And my question to you is, are you surprised by that? That's part one. And part two, do you put any stock into what the people observing the scrimmage are saying about the team?
Okay, well, let me take the second part first, because I don't think it's just what people were observing at the scrimmage. I think it's a fact that Marc-Andre Fleury faced 3 shots at the outset of the scrimmage by Tanner Glass, Craig Adams, and Sidney Crosby, and all 3 of those shots eluded him and ended up in the back of the net. So I don't think that we need to speculate about what happened there. He gave up 3 goals on 3 shots.
4 goals on 5 shots.
4 goals on 5 shots, which is in line with his save percentage on shots by him against himself.
Right. That's pretty I think him stopping 20% of the shots he takes on his own net is actually pretty good.
Right. So I'm not surprised. I don't doubt that happened and that he was bad. I will say this. I don't think it matters at all what happened in the preseason or in the regular season. I'm sure he's going to be fine in the regular season. I'm sure he'll win his share of games. None of it matters. He could win the Vezina based on his regular season performance. It wouldn't matter. All that matters is that when the playoffs begin next year, all of us are going to be absolutely holding our breath and our balls as the Penguins go into the playoffs, because we're not going to have any idea if he's going to stop pucks. That's the problem.
Do you think that that's a foregone conclusion, though, that he's going to be the goalie going into the playoffs?
No, I don't. I think if something presents itself, and by something I mean if there's a good young goaltender out there who has some promise that could legitimately platoon with Vokun next year, and we can make a deal, I think we do it. Because I can't believe that the Penguins management feels any differently than we do about Fleury. They've watched the games. If anything, they know better than we do that he can't be depended on at this point.
Right.
It's a total leap of faith. I mean, maybe he can, but if you're saying that you know that he can, you're lying. And that's what they're saying right now, that they believe in him 100%. He can win games. He can win a Stanley Cup. I don't believe that for a minute.
I think maybe they're sort of like in a bad relationship with him. They love him, and they just keep giving him chance after chance after chance. And I think he's too far gone at this point. Like, to me, it's at the point where I'm almost, as long as he's going to be in the mix, I'm sort of like not feeling the same level of enthusiasm for the start of the season. Because it's such a drag to just kind of have that. It's not even like having a shaky goalie that's a drag, because that happens all the time. It's just like he's sort of a ticking time bomb, you know? That's what bothers me.
There's no question about that.
Like, if we had some young rookie goalie who was kind of shaky, I would have more optimism that, he can get hot or he can turn it on or whatever. But with Fleury, it's just like just waiting for him to score on himself. I'm really worried. It's affecting me. It's affecting my mood.
Yeah, I think it affects everything. I really think it. But all this being said, let's be clear, and I think we agree on this, there's nothing else the Penguins could do. Because their only other alternative would be to sell incredibly low on Fleury, just get rid of him. And what does that accomplish? Unless you're getting somebody back that can, again, at least platoon with Vokun, because Vokun is not at a stage in his career where he can play 60 games. He's just not. You have to have somebody that can perform capably in at least a part-time role if you're going to replace Fleury. And if you're selling low on him, you're not getting somebody as good. It's just by definition, you're not getting somebody as good. So the only move that they could make was to give him a little bit of a boost of confidence with an endorsement and, try to get in position to have a successful season and see what happens. There's just no other route you can take. We don't have a young goalie that can play. We don't have a lot of assets that we can deal for we couldn't deal for a Jonathan Bernier, for example, I don't think we could put a package together like that. So, what are we left with? We've got to ride them and see how we do.
The Pens are still over the cap. I mean, maybe is a Fleury move. Could it be so imminent that that's the move that gets the Penguins under the cap? Or do you see what move gets the Penguins under the cap? About $1 million over the cap right now. We got to be under the cap by the beginning of the season.
I read today that Jason Botterill, the assistant GM, has a different take on the Pens cap situation, that we're not that far over the cap. We're not $1 million over. I don't know. I'm not doing any calculations along those lines, but it's clear that we need to do something to get under the cap.
Well, over is over, so.
Right. So we got to do something, but there are a lot of moves you can make. You got Tanner Glass, you got Jussi Jokinen. There are different guys you can move to get closer to the line. Doesn't necessarily have to be Niskanen. And I think it was Rossi that had an article today saying that the Penguins management, of course we always have to take this with a grain of salt, but he's saying the Penguins management believe their best shot at a cup is with Niskanen as a fifth defenseman. So they'd like to keep him, and, if they need to trim somewhere else, they trim somewhere else. I don't know. But Niskanen is the obvious answer. Particularly if you want to see some of these young defensemen actually play.
Well, that's the point. I mean, that makes sense, because like Niskanen would be a decent third pairing defenseman playing 15 minutes a night. But that just makes me wonder, like, these guys we've been hearing about for years and years and years, these young defensemen, like, are they any good? Why aren't they playing yet? How old do they have to be? Brian Dumoulin's like 24.
Right, and they really like the way he's been looking. I have no problem with the approach that they're taking right now. Clearly what they're doing
He's 22. I'm sorry, he's 22, but he's going to – yeah, he just turned 22. But that's – I mean, if you're 22, you're either good or you're not, so let's get going, Like, get it.
Yeah, and I think he's good. But what they're doing, which makes sense, is they're having all these guys into camp, just started today, and they want to see how they do. And there's no hurry to make a move. But say, in camp, Dumoulin and Olli Mata just are lights out. They're fantastic. Then they know, they can make a couple moves, and they act accordingly. But if these guys flame out in training camp, it's a different story. There's no reason to make the move now before you see these guys against NHL competition in camp.
I guess when I talk about it, I get impatient.
Yeah,
I really haven't been like the last month has been a total kind of detachment from the Penguins. I haven't followed or paid much attention to anything.
Well, the Pennsburg just had a post about how they're not excited about the season and why is that. And, I think you touched on one of the reasons with Fleury. It's tough to – and, Bilesma, we should lump him in there too. It's tough to continually get excited about seasons with these same guys who've failed again and again.
Right.
That's one thing. But the other thing to me that's very obvious is after going through a 48-game season where every game means more, the prospect of an 82-game season where like the first 2 months of the season basically mean nothing. It's tough to really get excited for that.
Especially with the Olympics when a lot of the better players, their minds are going to be on the Olympics until they happen in February.
Yeah, at least the guys that aren't assured a spot on that Olympic roster who feel like they're playing for a spot. Like Crosby, is he going to be thinking about the Olympics in October? I'm not sure.
Well, I don't think he's going to be thinking about it in the sense of will I make the team, but he's going to be thinking about it like, God, that's going to be so much more exciting than this game in Tampa.
Is he thinking about that? I mean, I don't know.
Well, why can't we just say what he's thinking and act like we know?
You could say it. I just don't know. I think that as he gets closer to the Olympics, he'll be thinking about it. But, by all accounts, Crosby was flying in the first day of training camp today. Crosby's a guy who I think is...
There's a surprise.
He doesn't really discriminate based on the context. He's going to be flying no matter what.
Well, he's quite an accomplished skater. He's a good,
He is. He can skate.
I'm watching the Patriots game right now with the Jets, and there really are. The Patriots have 3 Super Bowls. The Crosby-led Penguins have 1 cup. But there's definitely some parallel between the Patriots and the Penguins right now, in terms of like you got the premier guy in the league, and everyone knows you're going to be good in the regular season. It really all comes down to the playoffs. So how do you get that excited for the regular season? Like if the Patriots went 17-0 this year, would their fans really be happy about that, or would they just be a nervous wreck going in the playoffs?
If the Patriots went 17-0,
16-0,
16-0 with Aaron Dobson and Julian Edelman as their number 1 receivers, I think they'd be pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough though. I'm having some trouble getting overly excited for the Penguin season, but I'll come around once they lace them up and we start seeing some of the Western Conference teams come in. I think Edmonton comes in the first couple games of the year.
Oh, wide open!
Oh, you get it?
He dropped it. Aaron Dobson dropped it.
Look, this is my thing.
Brady put that right in his hands.
The Patriots, they don't have nearly as much skilled talent as they used to. If Gronkowski doesn't get to 100%, they're in serious trouble. You're not going to win with Edelman and Amendola as your 2 best receivers.
Amendola's not even playing. Dobson right in his hands. So let me ask you a question. This is a little bit off topic. In our league, my starting running backs are Stephen Ridley and David Wilson.
Right.
Who really could not have had worse opening weeks.
Well, let's explain to everybody, though, that you do get positive points for fumbles. So you are in first place because of that.
Yeah. Do I just stick with these guys? I don't think I.
Well,
really
why don't we make a trade right now? I missed the draft, the auction draft. I was staying in my office because I had 2 drafts at one time, and I have 2 screens in my office, so I wanted to dual screen it. And it turned out that the Yahoo software did not work at my office, so I ended up having to jet home for the ESPN draft that started a half hour later. And by that point, my Yahoo draft had automatically drafted almost the whole team. I think it drafted like 7 of the first 8 guys that were put up for auction.
Yeah, that was.
So I have Arian Foster and Doug Martin. I'm a little overstocked at running back. I mean, do you want one of those guys?
Yeah, I would like one of those guys.
What do you got to offer? I need a quarterback. My quarterback's Josh Freeman and Phil Rivers.
Well, I have Peyton Manning.
He's good. You know who I think is really underrated this year, fantasy-wise, is RG3. I think.
Is he?
Yeah, he was going for like not a lot of money in any of the leagues.
Well, I thought he was underrated until I saw that first game, and now I wonder if he's just perfectly rated because he's not the same as he was last year. That's clear.
Yeah, but did you see?
And maybe it's just opening night kinks.
Yeah, but in the second half, he had 2 touchdowns and 280 yards.
In fairness, I didn't see the second half. I saw the first half where he looked awful.
He ended up with well over 330 yards and 2 touchdowns or something.
I just saw in the first half he was throwing off his back foot. He was a little tentative, but maybe that changed. I don't know. I'm going to have to study up on it.
If you were trying to podcast after just having reconstructive throat surgery, you'd be a little tentative too.
You're right about that. Did you happen to see the run by that Alabama youth football player?
No.
That's making rather. This was incredible. You have to Google this. It's like it looks like he's like an 8-year-old kid. He stiff-armed 3 people and juked the whole team and ran for an 80-yard touchdown. Great video.
Well, you get some mismatches at youth football ages. Some people don't. Some kids are more developed than others.
What do you think of Geno Smith? He looks pretty bad.
What's the score of this game?
It's 10-3 Patriots.
10-3? Yeah, he's not going to be he doesn't strike me as a guy like the quarterbacks last year who were good right away.
The Jets are really bad, although Willie Colon is on this team.
Oh, here's an interesting question, and I feel like you could sort of ask this every week. Of the 5 young best quarterbacks, you got Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, RG3, Russell Wilson, and Kaepernick.
Yeah.
If they were all in a draft, if you're starting a team right now, which one would you take first?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I'm just right off the top of my head, I'm going to say Kaepernick or Luck.
Why?
That's tough. I think Luck is just the prototype. I think probably he's the best pure passer. I think Kaepernick is the most dynamic.
I go with them for a different reason, a very simple reason. Although this
You're
could apply
going with
to
the same ones? You're going with the same ones.
Yeah, though I would probably take Luck first. For me, they're bigger. They're just bigger. And the defensive players are too big now. I just think RG3 is as talented as anybody in the league. He's the fastest guy in the league. He's great. He's got an amazing arm. When he gets hit, he gets launched. He got sacked once last game, and it looked like he was going to get thrown out of the stadium. He got hit so hard. And he just flew across the field. And Russell Wilson's 6 feet tall, which is a baby in the NFL. He's a baby. And Cam Newton's huge, but he's just not as good of a thrower as Luck and Kaepernick. So
correct.
I go Luck and then Kaepernick. And the other ones, who knows? Who cares? I stopped caring about my own question as I was asking it.
Yeah, it was a good question.
But I like Luck. I think that Luck is almost underrated at this point.
Absolutely. And he probably has the worst team around him out of all these guys.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Kaepernick, he's really good, but he's got a loaded squad with him, too. I mean, that team's very good.
Unbelievable.
He's very good. But, San Francisco, Seattle, their defenses are great. I think RG3 and Luck did a lot more with less last year than those other two.
Yeah, I agree. How much time do we have left on this podcast? I don't want to run out of time like we did last time.
There's no time limit because it's not live, so we can go.
Oh, it's only the live podcast, so we can go for like another hour. What do you think of the Pirates right now? What's the score?
I'm excited about the Pirates. I actually got the Pirates won 3-1.
Nice.
I got the radio app, so I listen to the games every once in a while. I didn't want to spring for the TV app, though I may be forced to now to get it for the last month.
I saw that there was a standing ovation for the team when they came back, in recognition of the 82 wins tonight. It was like a big thing on Twitter. I guess the Post-Gazette writer Colin Dunlap said, everyone, you should give the Pirates a standing ovation. They've won 82 games, which I thought was silly. The notion that this was such like a great idea by Colin Dunlap. Like, oh, good pass. Brady just hit who's that guy? The rookie, Tompkins,
yeah.
The notion that, hey, they should give a standing ovation based on a good performance by the baseball team. That's normally what would happen. Like, Twitter is so, like, narcissistic and, like, self-congratulatory. Like, good for you. You started a hashtag, stand for 82. You know what? They're probably going to give them a standing ovation anyway, Twitter.
Right.
But thanks. Thanks for your input.
Also, I don't know that I would stand for 82. I would stand because I think the team is good and is sort of overachieving. Although now they got a really good lineup when you look at it. But 82 games doesn't mean much to me. It really doesn't. Like you gotta get to the playoffs. You finish. So if the Pirates finished 86 and 78 or whatever and didn't make the playoffs, would anybody be happy about that?
I would not be happy about that.
No, but the Pirates are legit. They got a very good lineup if everybody's healthy.
I just hope that they don't get robbed. If they turn out to be one of the wild card teams, I believe, and I'm not sure about this because, to be candid with you, I haven't followed baseball since the advent of the second wild card team. I think it's just a one-game playoff between the wild card teams, right?
Yeah, it is, and that would be a nightmare.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. It could be out in like a heartbeat.
Well, it would be really disappointing if it wasn't even a home game. Like, to not have a playoff game in PNC Park would be terrible. But, yeah, so it's a one-game playoff. But I'm seeing right now the Pirates entered the night down a game to St. Louis. St. Louis is currently down 4-2 at the end of the fourth. So Pirates could be back in first place at the end of the night.
Oh, that would be huge. That would be just huge.
Yeah. Got to win the division and then play Atlanta and exercise the demons from 1992. It's the only way to do it. I think the road to the World Series goes through Fulton County, the Fulton County Atlanta Dome or whatever it was.
All right. On that note, I think we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, it's time.
Well, so to recap, the Steelers are dead. The Penguins are alive, but we're kind of bored with them and not that excited. And the Pirates, we're actually excited about.
It's going to be great. I get tense when I listen to these games and it's close late. I think that we've been raw. We make fun of baseball sometimes, and it's super slow and boring during the regular season, but it does have a way of building tension over the course of a game in the playoffs that the other sports don't have. And I think that to be invested in that this fall could be a lot of fun, and I'm very excited about it.
I'm in. It's taken a long time, but I'm in. All right. Good talk. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Until next time, GTOG.